many ways, SEO is more complex than a lot of the other marketing spaces. If you're on social media, yes, there are details and complexities you need to get right, but it's a lot simpler. Same with advertising. If you have a good offer and you've got a good ads and you test and you have all your systems in place.
Hi there, I'm Charly, your online business manager. My goal is to assist small to medium business owners build their businesses with a focus on using the internet and online technologies in an appropriate and cost-effective manner. People hire me to take the stress out of managing their businesses and allow themselves to focus on what they do best. And today I have a very special guest. He's back for the third or fourth time. I'm kind of losing count. Fourth time, yeah. Fourth episode. So this is Callum Amrstrong from pasteandpublish.com. He has been on a couple of times, so I do recommend you all go back and have a look at the previous episodes we've done because they are excellent. And he's agreed to come back on, and we're going to have a talk today about SEO and content writing for SEO. So Callum, thanks so much for joining us. Why don't you give us just the high-level overview of who you are so those who haven't caught up with us in previous episodes know who we're talking to.
Cool. Well, first, thanks for having me back again, Charly. We're obviously doing something right. It's the fourth episode in just as many months. So we met 4 months ago and we've made almost the whole series. Bit of a high-level overview about me. Before I get into that, what we're talking about today is SEO and how you get better results from blogging with SEO and the tips you need to know. So I'm really excited to share that. And this is something that I've been doing for the last 6 years. I started off in my marketing journey as a freelancer and contractor. They called me a digital nomad back in the day when I was backpacking, and that was in late 2017. Yeah, you're a digital nomad now, right? So it's kind of flip the shoes. So yeah, late 2017 did that. Came back to New Zealand in early 2018 to start a business, but I kept doing my contracting throughout that time. Just after the first lockdown, I had repeated requests from clients to build an agency so they could get more out of me. And I eventually caved and started an agency called Paste and Publish. It was a content marketing agency. Did that for a few years, and we've evolved into coaching for a number of reasons, which I'm happy to cover later.
Yep, that sounds great. And are you, no, good, we haven't frozen. I was just making sure we hadn't frozen. I mean, the joys of traveling in the country, isn't it? I mean, Australia and the internet is always interesting, but then you travel in the country and it's worse. So we're going to talk about blogging and SEO, and we specifically how you write your content for SEO, why it's important, whether you want to do it, and we'll cover whether you should be doing it or whether it's worthwhile doing it and all of that. Callum has been fantastic. I actually, we've just been sitting here. We've been on this call for nearly an hour before we come and do this call, by the way, because we've been catching up and talking about bits and pieces. So clearly, there's something there that resonates with the two of us. So Callum, let's have a chat about SEO. While you're talking about the content side of things, what I will do is I'm just going to add in a little bit about how you set your WordPress blog up, specifically the things that you need to think about in terms of mechanics as we go through that make this all easier. But it doesn't matter how good your mechanics are on your site. It doesn't matter how well optimized your site is for SEO. If your content is not good, it's not going to matter. And that's the thing that I really want to get through to people. It doesn't matter what you've done in the basics. Your foundations need to be good, but your content has to be even better. So why don't we sort of get started in terms of the things that we need to consider while we're doing it, Callum, and where do we start?
Well, SEO is a details game. If you're doing content properly, content is a details game as well. SEO is a process game, so is content. But if you look at the details in the process, the data and the stats, it's easy to get lost in the weeds, to forget why you're doing it. So to start this conversation, I'd love it if we could zoom back out and have a 50,000-foot view on why we're doing it and what your customer's going through. Because when we put it in this context, the value and the needs of SEO and the way to approach it are a lot more obvious. So if you're thinking about doing SEO in your business, I'd love you to just step back and consider these following points and questions to ask why you're doing it. Your customers are going through a journey. They start off being unaware that no matter what we buy, we go through the same journey. We start off being unaware that we have a problem. We then realize that we've got a problem. We then start looking for solutions, and then we find and buy a solution, and hopefully that gets us to our outcome. For example, let's say that I have issues with my website and I want to build a better website. Firstly, I'm unaware that I've got issues. Maybe I'm just running my business, I'm going about it, unaware that there's a problem. Customer might call up and say, your website's broken, it's not loading fast enough. I might get a report from my analytics saying, oh, my website traffic's dropped, or why am I getting no leads? And I think, okay, there's an issue here, I need to deal with it. And I might start looking for solutions. I say, should I figure it out myself? Just watch some YouTube videos or buy a course or read a blog and do it? Should I go and hire some big fancy agency and pay big bucks and have something really polished? Should I get someone off Upwork or Fiverr? Should I maybe hire Charly? And then I decide to talk to someone. I might say to Charly, hey, I'll talk to you, I'll buy from you. And through that process, I'm considering, are you trustworthy? How do you compare to other people? Of your services, how do these packages compare? Should I buy the full Monty today, or should I buy a little bit, dip my toes in the water and go further, etc.? If I'm going to pay for it, do I pay for it up front? Do I put it on a payment plan? Do it, etc.? There's all these considerations in that solution aware stage. Then you're ready, you go to the process, you buy. To get people, so that's the buying process. And as marketers, we set up what is commonly known as a funnel, which is essentially capturing people at each stage of that buying journey and getting them to buy our offerings instead of some other way of solving their problem, because they're going to solve that problem regardless of whether it's with you or someone else. Now, the way that we capture them, we get them into our funnel, so to speak, and then we move them down through to buying from us. There's a lot of different methods. We might run advertising, Google ads or Facebook ads, or sponsor someone's newsletter. We might do podcasting. We might publish videos on YouTube, or we might do SEO and blogging. We might get content in front of our audience so that when they're ready to buy, they find us. So that's at a high level what's going on. SEO and blogging in general is just one method of getting people through your funnel. So I guess the question is, why should you choose SEO and blogging? And in what cases, what's the argument for investing in SEO versus investing in some other way of getting customers? So I guess that's a good place to start off in this topic, but what do you think of that, Charly?
No, I think that's a great idea. And what I also just want to highlight is you mentioned doing things like YouTube videos and Facebook and social media. A lot of the techniques that you're going to share today about how you structure your content, you can actually take into all of those other things as well to get a better whack on it. And I will actually, if you don't cover it, I'll cover it a little bit as well, if that's okay. Because
Cool.
To me, it's a holistic thing. It's not just, yes, blogging's really, really important, but there's all these other things that you should be doing as well, in my opinion, if you want to really get some reach out there. It's just how you do it and how you can optimize it and get the best, excuse the term, bang for your buck. So let's just start as to why we want to do this.
Yeah, right. Let's say that I am putting ads on the radio or on the TV or in the newspaper, or I'm dropping flyers in your letterbox. This is a spray and pray approach. We go out and we say, all right, out of those 100,000 people that listen to that radio station, let's say we get 1% of them inquiring. That's 100 leads. 1,000 leads, sorry. And let's say that 1% of them turn into clients. So we've reached 100,000 people with the radio, we've got 10 clients. That's spray and pray. We hope that the numbers might change, but we're blasting a message out to a mass audience and hoping that we get people in. That's the same with a lot of other forms of media. If you look at Facebook ads or lead generation ads in general on social media, it's the same. You're spraying your message out there. And yes, the algorithm is good at focusing on showing it to the people that are most likely to buy, but you're still spraying and praying. If you do collaborations with other brands and you work with influencers, again, you are getting a bit more of a narrow audience that you're targeting, but you're still spraying and praying. And even if you put videos on YouTube, yes, you can target certain keywords that people search, but the fact is that most of the content comes from that recommendation algorithm. Recommended videos and notifications on your phone and what pops up on your homepage. It's only 20 or 30% of the actual clicks that come from searches, I think. I could be wrong with that. But the difference with Google and with search engine optimization is that for someone to find your blog, through a keyword, they have to actually search that keyword. They don't find your blog without finding that keyword. So they're putting their intentions out there into the ether before you even target that keyword. So you can use tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush, or my favorite lately is Ubersuggest. And you can see for any topic in your industry or niche, in any country, in any region, what are all the keywords people are searching, how many searches per month has there been on average over the last 12 months, how much competition is there for those keywords. So out of 0 to 100, how many other brands are competing for that keyword. And then also, what's the cost? Like, how much does it cost to run ads on that if you're running Google ads? How many dollars per click is it? And if there's a positive cost per click, then you know that people are running ads and they must be making money off it. So it's probably worth targeting. So for a moment, let's just take a step back and say all these other methods, spray and pray. Put a message out there, you get some customers in and you're happy and you run your business and grow it. SEO is, let's see exactly what people are searching, and then let's put out content and landing pages and various forms of information and then let's do the tactics we use to optimize for search engines, which is called SEO, so that when people search that keyword, we show up at the top. And that way, when people have the problem that you solve, they find you. It's like you're building this garden that's there when people are hungry. And that's really the value of SEO, I guess.
I agree entirely. And what I am going to add to that, first of all, I love the idea of SEO because you're bringing people back to somewhere that you own. As one of my guests on one of my podcasts, and I can't remember which one it is because I've done a few recently, they said you've got to own the race course. It's no use having all of this information out there across disparate platforms. Bring people back to your platform, bring them back to your website, because you control that. If the others go, no, don't say that word, Charlie. If the others fail, or they change their algorithm, or they change their policies, you've lost that access to that target audience. But if you've told your target audience where to find you, they know that they can come to your website, you've got it all there. That's the input. That's why it's important to me to actually be setting up your website and using SEO techniques to bring people in so that they can find you if you happen to fall off of one of the other platforms. The last thing I wanted to add to that is any keywords, and we talk about keyword or keywords. The other way I like to phrase that is a key phrase. What is someone searching? What is the term? What is the sentence they're putting into the search engine to find the solution to their problem? And a keyword might be a phrase, a sentence, a series of words together. You can still use that in your social media posts. You can still use that in your ads. You can still use that on your on your YouTube videos, because when the search engines come up, your YouTube channel will come up because you've used that search phrase. Your Facebook page will come up because you've used that search phrase. And if you're starting to dominate the search results for that key phrase, it's going to give you that much more credibility, credentialing for someone to come and have a look at your website. And just some
Absolutely.
basic thoughts on that.
Yeah, I agree entirely. Some other things to add is it's a lot slower to get SEO than it is for other types of marketing. If you run ads and you put money out there and you've got the right message, you're going to get customers and leads fast. If it's the wrong message, you're going to spend money fast, but not get those leads. With SEO, it can take time. I normally say if we're consistently putting in effort, you will get some results sooner, but don't expect to be really happy with this until at least 6 months later, which is a long time in the digital world. It's not a short investment, but it lasts for ages. Like with my first business, Manuka Essentials, I wrote, I think, about 10 blogs when I started. And those 10 blogs, 5 years later, were still bringing in 500 to 1,000 people a month. And I didn't do any changes. I didn't build any links. I didn't do any improvements.
That's amazing.
Just SEO.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's the power. And I've got much bigger examples from clients than that, but that was my first ever attempt in 5 years, no effort, and it was still bringing in leads and customers. That's the potential. That's the opportunity, and also because when you put stuff out into social media, for example, you there's a lot of guesswork. There's no one saying this is what you should post. There's no guardrails, and that can be handy because you put your opinion out there, people like it, people engage. It's a lot more organic. But there's almost a certain level of validation when you create content for search engines because you can, if you're wanting to do it for getting search traffic, you need to know that there's traffic there before you create the content, if that's your strategy. So you're validating that it's actually what people want to know about before you create the content, which can be really helpful. However, SEO isn't, there's no prize for second place. The winner takes all, or winner takes most. The first 5 results get about 80% of clicks. 95% of people don't go past the first page. So you need to be winning to do that. And if, let's say, your service, Charly, is to do with WordPress websites. If you said WordPress website expert, you're quite unlikely to win that keyword, if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, I don't even try to win that. I don't even try to win that one.
But so that's what we call a short tail keyword. Nike, shoes, e-commerce, marketing agency. Very high search volume, very unspecific. And then if you think about the SEO landscape, there's this thing we call a long tail. So as you get through to more specific keywords, longer phrases, more detailed things, the search volume's lower, but the competition's lower. But more importantly, the specificity of the intention behind why they search it is a lot more specific. So if I said affordable WordPress services in Western Australia, there might be, not that you're in Western Australia, but there might be only 20 or 30 searches a month for that. But I know that someone that's searching that is looking for something really specific.
Yep. Bless you. Bless you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so
you're allergic to me. That's okay.
It's okay. It's changing of seasons. So yeah, basically they, if you're targeting long tail keywords that are specific searches, you can then say, all right, I'll make a landing sales page to do with affordable website services for WordPress in Western Australia. Or if it's an educational blog, you can do that. You can also see, if we come back to that buying journey that we talked about at the start of this call, you can see where they're at in the buying journey. For example, if we're talking about, let's say, build me a website, the people that are unaware of their problem might say things like, why should I have a website? What's the cost of a website? Best trending websites?
What's the best shopping cart?
What's the best
How
shopping
do I
cart?
build a shopping cart? Yeah.
And it's like, you might have high volume, it might be low competition, but it's not very relevant. People that are aware of their problem will say things like cost of building website, how do I fix this error, etc. People that are aware of the solution will be starting to look at the purchase keywords like website, affordable website services, Western Australia, WordPress agency, near me, these types of keywords. And then people that are ready to buy would be searching Ask Charly Leetham. They'd be searching for your brand, or they'd be searching for price comparison, or like when I was doing SEO for a software company, they would have we built a whole load of comparison pages saying like our company versus competitor. So for example, if it was Xero accounting software, I'd say Xero versus QuickBooks, because someone that's considering whether to buy will look for that. So yeah,
absolutely.
That's kind of an overview, I guess, of that. And make sure that you're investing for the long run, because there's no point putting out effort today if you don't consistently do it. Sure, you can put in a lot of effort now, like I did with those 10 blogs when I started, but that's a really bad way of doing it. You're better off doing a little bit each month and doing that for years on end for SEO.
Yep. My whole thing with SEO, and when we set up sites for clients, if they really want to go down that path, it's a content path. We drip feed content out. We might pre-write stuff. We might have it all written and ready to go, but we don't do a blanket approach and just sort of shotgun it all out. We'll do one this week, one next week, or one in 2 weeks, one in another 2 weeks. Just keep dripping it out, because that's going to get that's far more sustainable and gives you much better results.
Definitely.
So where to from there? Okay, so we're convinced that this is the process we want to go down to. We know we've done our research on our keywords. We know what people are looking for. We know the various parts of our buying journey. What's the next step?
There's a lot of ways that you can go about this. And there's a lot of strategies and tactics. So I'm happy to share a few strategies that work, that we've used that work. But this isn't the only way you can use SEO. The first option is the big investment blanket coverage method. So I just made that term up right now. But essentially, you pull out, so look at your customer's buying journey. Look at the problems they face when they're becoming aware of that. Look at the triggers that make them want to buy. Look at the things that matter in the solutions. Take your competitors' websites, put them through a research tool like Ubersuggest, and see what keywords they're ranking for. Put all these different keywords into the keyword ideas section of Ubersuggest with your all the key considerations that throughout your customer's buying journey. For example, if I was looking for WordPress website services, I'd say, do I need which cart plugin should I use? Prices of services, all these types of terms. And the keyword tool will spit out a whole load of keywords and things that people are searching. Add them to a list and keep doing this. And it's a really boring job, this part, I'll tell you. It's a lot of detail, but keep pulling these lists out. Look at your competitors and pull out any keywords that are relevant you want to rank for, that they're ranking for. When you look at those keywords, see what other relevant keywords there are. Anyway, you make this massive list. Sometimes it can be 300 keywords, sometimes it can be 1,000, sometimes it can be 5,000. Export that to a CSV file. Open it up. I like Google Sheets. You can use Microsoft Excel as well. And then you want to group them by shared search intent. What do I mean by shared search intent? So if people are searching different keywords and similar phrases for the same reason, such as WordPress agency, building companies, WordPress building services, WordPress building services in Perth, these types of things are all for the same reason. Then you group that into what we call a cluster of keywords. You basically just have a group of keywords that have a similar intention. You can do this by going into your spreadsheet, pressing Control F or Command F if you're on Apple, searching for it, and then just cutting those and putting them into a separate pile of keywords. You keep doing that until you've got that big list and you've separated it out into chunks and bunches of different keywords. They have different search intent. And then you'll have a whole bunch that have no real relevance, that are irrelevant. So I just put them in a side group. And then each of those clusters of keywords becomes a page on your website. For each of those clusters, you say, is this informational intent? Do they need education? Or is this that they're looking to purchase something and we need to put a service or a landing or a sales page in place? And then from that, you can take these chunks of keywords. I then just screenshot the keywords, the search volume, the competition, and the cost per click. And I just go and I put them into briefs. So I say these 6 or these 10 keywords, this is the primary one, the main keyword with the most search volume or the most relevant to the topic is going to be the title of it. And then I write blogs from that. So that's one way of planning out what to target, what content to target. Another option is to focus on the bottom-up approach. So that's top-down. You're like, what is everyone searching, and then focus on that and get it down. Another option is bottom-up. You might say, well, here's my service page. Here's what are the money pages? What are people searching to buy from me? And then from that, you can then say, based on that, what are the next most likely things they would ask? What are their objections? And then write blogs around those if there's search volume. It really depends on how big your industry is. If you're in a really broad industry like footwear, for example, there's going to be so many keywords because every person is a potentially customer. If you're in a really niche industry like inventory implementation services for food and beverage manufacturers, you probably won't have much search volume. So that top-down approach is good if you've got lots of search volume. And if it's more specific, then yeah, you've got to be a bit more cherry picking on the focus. whatever blogs or pages you target, make sure that actually things that your customers are likely to search. Don't do something just because the numbers make sense. Make sure that's actually relevant to your business. And then once you've got your list of briefs and content that you want to target, blogs you want to write, the sales pages you need, the next part is going into the production process.
Okay, so let's just go back through a couple of those because
There's a lot of stuff.
there was a lot of stuff, and I just love some of those strategy. I love that strategy. You know, I've got to say, I hate doing keyword research. It's the worst, just terrible. Okay, so for all of you who are out there watching this, yeah, we hate it. Even those of us that know how to do it, we hate it. Even those of us that do it for people, we hate it. It's boring. Now, I am going to say this is probably where VAs come in really, really handy. You can do your initial research. You can get that big long list of keywords. You can drop them into a Google sheet or a Zoho sheet or an Excel spreadsheet. Hand that out to a VA and get them to start doing the sorting. Now, you're going to have to check it. Absolutely, you're going to have to check it. But get some assistance in to do some of this drudge work yourself. That would be my first statement on that. Okay, so my general approach is always top down. I rarely do bottom up. I like to see what people are looking for. I really loved the idea of, you know, if you find a keyword, you've got to build a page for it or you've got to do a blog for it. That's so true. And it's something I tend to forget. In terms of mechanics for your websites, though, at this point, I'm going to note that we haven't even touched our website. Nowhere near our website at the moment. We're still in the research and the planning process. And you don't even look at your website until all of this is done. That's my first the thing that I really want to impress on people. Don't come to someone like me and say, I want to build my website for SEO, because I'm going to ask you what it is you're targeting, what it is you're trying to achieve, who are you talking to? If you can't give me that, then we're going to have to go all the way back to the start of this process and work our way through that before I will even look at a website for you. Okay, so what's next?
Sorry, if I may just cover a side topic here while we're on it. This is a problem I see many business owners facing, which is they know the allure of SEO. People find you online, you don't pay for the clicks, and they just beat a path to your door. And so people think, oh, I'm just going to do that. And I've seen so many business owners that are running a good business. They've got a good offer, they've got good people in place, but they don't understand the scope of this digital thing to say, oh, I've got some money to spend on a website. Can you get me ranking? And it might be a little, it might be a lot. But then they think of SEO and getting you to win as, oh, just chuck some keywords on a page and you'll show up. And then it doesn't always work like that. And I've had people come to me and say, I want to build a website and I want it to be on the first page of Google. And I say, well, this is actually two separate projects, really. We've got building you a website and we've got getting you on Google. And quite often that's met with almost distrust, like you're just trying to get more money out of me. And that's not the case. It's actually, there's quite a lot of work involved in this.
Yeah. We're trying to save you money. We're actually trying to make this worthwhile for you and an investment and not a money sink.
And so that knowledge gap between where people are at and where they need to be is a huge issue. And in our coaching program, Evergreen Leads, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, this is a big thing we do, is we share the context and the foundations and the fundamentals so that you as the client, regardless of who you hire, whether it's a staff member, an agency, a contractor, a VA, you know the scope of work, you know how to manage them, you know how to set the expectations, and you know what a job well done is, so that you can hold them to account, but also you can be giving realistic expectations that turn into thriving relationships rather than misunderstandings constantly.
Yep, absolutely. And I guess, you've said it's an aside, and I do want to just highlight it. You are going to get in your emails the messages that say, we can get you ranking, we can get you #1 on Google, we can get you on the first page of Google, your site's not ranking for your keywords. Guys, there's a spam button. There's a spam button. Use it. Use it indiscriminately. With prejudice, the term is. Those people, look, I know they're trying to build a business. I know they're trying to earn some money, and I kind of really feel that this is how they've got to do it. Feel for them that this is how they've got to do it. They're not going to help your business. They're going to harm your business because they're not going to take you through this process. They're going to give you something that may end up actually trashing your search engine results. And I've had a client recently who have had that experience, and it's going to take a lot to get them recovered from it. And my heart breaks, but that's just the way it is, unfortunately. So yeah, if they come in and they're not from your developer, and your developer isn't saying to you this is an issue, by all means go back and say, hey, listen, do we need to go back and look at our SEO? Do we need to look at these things? But don't just forward them the email and say, why haven't you done this? Because honestly, that's not fair on your developer. Not at all.
And
not
being on the
at all.
receiving end of it, like if I'm on the receiving end of that, it makes me less willing to help you. It's a sign of distrust of the service that we're providing if we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a relationship there, and there's in our Improve Your Business newsletter, like project, but there's this episode we have on discretionary effort, which is the effort above and beyond what you're paid to do. And what you'll find in a lot of cases when you hire marketing service providers is that there's the minimum that you're hiring someone and paying them for. And if the relationship isn't strong, that's all you get is the minimum. But if you look after your people, you quite often get a lot more out of it. The clients that treat me well, I go above and beyond for them. I give them way more than what they paid for. The clients that get a bit rude, or they maybe they don't take the time to understand, or I have to repeat the same answer 5 times, they just get what they paid for, and that's it. And I want to go above and beyond, but
less willing to go above and beyond because it's so much more work. So much more work.
And we've got lives, so I'm not trying to bag anyone here or stuff, but just if you are thinking about hiring an SEO, just keep that in mind. Good or bad, there is a relationship there, and sometimes the way you approach a question will actually result in getting a lot more business from that client, or getting a lot more results and a lot more effort and input and work from them. But that's the same with an employee. It's just that it's a contracted person instead of an employee.
Absolutely.
Or team.
Okay, so we've gone through a basic strategy. We've gone through top down, bottom up. We've kind of got off topic again, which is what you and I are very good at doing, I've noticed. What's the next sort of thing that we need to do from there, Callum?
Next up is you've allocated your keywords to specific pages, blogs, and content. The next thing is creating that, is producing it. Now, this is often where SEO work falls short, is that you say, I have a keyword to target, therefore I'll just produce some content to target that keyword. And there is a human searching that keyword, there's a human clicking on it, and if you don't appeal to that human, it's actually going to harm your SEO because they won't stick around. Google will see those stats of how long someone's on your page, etc., and then it will push you down the results. So one of the best things you can do for your SEO long term, regardless of what the short term hype and tactics in the market is to create really high quality content and really useful pages that appeal to the user first, but are optimized for the keywords that serve them and provide value. Long term, that's going to do the most benefit for you. And you're doing SEO for the long term, so why wouldn't you? So should we touch on some tips to get the best out of your production so that you actually have a really good
please. I just really want to hit on that, is that when you write your content, you've got to write for the human aspect. You've got to appeal to the person that is behind the mouse, basically. And I know I'm sure you'll touch on ChatGPT and some of the AI technologies. In some way, I'm going to say, guys, put the ChatGPT away to begin with and start thinking about the person you're dealing with. But yeah, let's touch on some of those things, Callum.
So ChatGPT is great, but it doesn't replace it. It can replace parts, but not all of it. What you want to do is, and I've learned this the hard way, is break out your process of going from I have a brief that's targeting keywords to I have a great bit of content that's published into a series of stages. First part is research. Look at, for that keyword you're targeting, what are the top 2, 3, 5, 10 blogs. For what about the related keywords? What are they? What is showing up? What is ranking? Open them up. Firstly, ask: Is this the right topic? Like when we saw that keyword that we decided to create some content about, are the blogs or the pages, service pages or sales pages that we're seeing actually relevant to the reason why we were going to create this piece of content? Sometimes you pull out a keyword and you think that this is relevant, and when you get into it, it's actually not relevant. So first ask yourself, are there any surprises here? If there's no surprises, then what we like to do is a research method called skyscraper. You can Google this and you'll come up with 10,000 blogs on how to do skyscraper. But essentially, the concept behind skyscraper is that if you were wanting to be a property mogul, you wanted to be the next high roller in your city, you would take the highest skyscraper and you want to build something bigger. If they have 5 gyms, you want 7 gyms. If they have 100 offices, you want 200 offices. If they've got a 3-bedroom home, you want a 5-bedroom home. So in essence, skyscraper is where you take the best points from the best blogs and the best pages, and then you add that to your plan. You take what are people asking? You know, the people frequently ask questions. People also ask, what are they asking? Answer those in your blog. What if you take the top 10 blogs? What are they missing on that topic and add them in? And then use that to form the skeleton for your blog. So first is research. Pull out all these points that you want to cover. The amount of research you do will depend on the topic and the opportunity. So for example, if you have a blog that's got 50 searches a month, or it's a topic like how to tie your shoelaces, you're probably not going to spend 5 hours researching it. If it's something much more detailed and in depth, like for example, which inventory system should I choose, you're probably going to do a lot more research. So do the amount of research that you need to actually get a good grasp of the topic at hand. Pull out the key points from the top blogs, pull out the questions people are also asking, pull out any other relevant stuff and look at that list. Then what I do is I read over it and say, are there any other things that this is missing? Are there gaps in what our competitors are talking about that we can cover? I note them down. You can use other means to research that. It might be talking to people in your company. It might be racking your brain. It might be asking ChatGPT and getting advice from ChatGPT on where the gaps are based on your research. It might be looking at social media or other apps like Answer the Public. Anyway, you just want to find where it's missing. And then from there, we create a skeleton. So essentially structure the blog. What are the key headings? What are the subtitles underneath that? What are we covering in those things? Where can we find sources of information for that? Look at the skeleton. Can we improve it? Ask ChatGPT, what am I missing? Is there anything I can remove? And then based on that skeleton, I like to spend most of my time writing a blog on research and building the skeleton. I find that it makes writing so much easier. Most people will just go straight to writing, but I find that the quality is lower and the work's higher to do that. So I'll just make the skeleton amazing. I get to the point where I actually, yes.
What do you mean by skeleton?
So it's a good question. It's an outline of the blog. It is what are the titles? Under what title, what are you saying? What are the subtitles under that title? Under those subtitles, what are the key points? Where are you drawing information from? Which images are you pulling in? Which infographics are you pulling in? Which videos do you link to? What frequently asked questions are you answering in that? What keywords are you putting in the titles of each section? It's like, it's your blog just in a skeleton format. I guess it's just a shorter version of your blog.
Yeah. So it is basically that you're outlining your content. You put your headings down. Under your headings, you either do subtitles. Under your subtitles, if you've got them, you put bullet points. If you want to put in a video somewhere, you put the link to the video and say video here. If you want to put an image in, you say this would be a great place for an image, or this image would go really well here. We're going to talk about it. So it is really outlining your document, and it's a technique not many people use, and I think more people should. And I know that I was teaching my kids to do that when they had to write their school reports, and they're like, "This is really easy now because I just go through and answer all this." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Tell me about it." It is a lot more work. It's a lot more work up front, but I tell you, it makes writing so much easier because you don't lose focus on where you're at in your article. Sorry, Callum, I just wanted to sort of hit on that one.
Yeah, it's like making a video, like making a movie. You wouldn't just film a movie on the first shot. You'd do a storyboard. But before that, you would research and decide what you're going to talk about. Then you would storyboard it before you write a script. Then you would storyboard it before you even got into making the set. And that's what you're doing with Skeleton. You're just making a storyboard for your content. If something goes wrong in the production, it's a lot easier to look back to the skeleton and say, what did we miss? So with writers that I've hired over the years, and still to this day, I say, you need to give me a skeleton before you write it. You need to do research and build out your skeleton, and you need the approval on that skeleton before you go and create the content. There's the odd time where that doesn't happen. If I'm delegating it entirely to an agency, I'm not going to micromanage their writers and subcontractors. That's not fair of me. There's times when the person writing it I know is good at writing and good at the topic better than me, in which case I'm not going to do that. But 9 times out of 10, it's like, bring me the skeleton, show me the detailed points. And then I'll say, then I'll go back and I'll research on Google, see if they've missed anything. I'll say, oh, what about this? Actually, we should avoid touching on that topic because of our competitors strong in that. That's their brand name. Or in this subtopic, we just need to be careful about legalities around that. Or, hey, I had a really good idea in this area. We could talk about these things. Or here's a good source I was reading the other day. Link that there. Or in this area, we could link back to this other blog on our website, etc. So that skeleton is the collaborative point. If you get a blog and it's crap and you haven't reviewed the skeleton, it's like eating a bite of someone's piece of cake and saying, oh, well, what went wrong without actually seeing the recipe.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, rewriting a bad blog when you don't have a skeleton to start with is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I get them, I normally just rewrite them anyway. I start with the skeleton and go, we wanted to hit this point, this point, this point, this goes up here, this goes there, that goes there, and reorganize it so it flows. So yeah, it makes a lot of difference.
Absolutely. Okay. So you've got the skeleton good, then you write it. There's a really detailed process that I've got in terms of an online course if anyone's interested in it, but basically you want to make it sound good. You want it to, there are some things to look at. You want it to hook your reader at the start. You want your introduction to be really compelling, because when that reader lands on the page, you've only got a few seconds before they get distracted and go elsewhere. So hook them in. I like to give an estimated reading time to respect their perspective. I like to share the key takeaways at the top so they know what they're about to get into. I like to give them a table of contents so they can jump to what matters to them. Next up, when you're talking there, you don't do that?
I hadn't, no. But then again, I try to keep my articles to about 400 words, 500 words.
So that's a bit different, yeah. I normally go longer, but the trend in SEO is going to shorter blogs, so I might remove that soon.
No, but the longer, I mean, honestly, if you've got longer articles, and some people like writing longer articles, the table of contents is a great idea.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, once you get into it, you want the content to be well written. You want it to be in a tone of voice that meets your brand's personality, but also appeals to your customers. All these things. Imagine, I often say, close your eyes. Imagine you're talking to your ideal customer, and what's the setting? Are you in a boardroom or a cafe or a beach? What are they wearing? What are you wearing? What's this relationship? Why are they having this relationship with you? The reason why we're talking today, I'm a different person to when I talk to my mother. And that's a different person when I'm hanging out with my mates. That's a different person to when I'm at the gym. I don't go to the gym. We're different people. So who are you and who are they in that context? And then use that to inform your voice. That's a good starting point. And then the other thing is, we are skim readers. There is this concept in marketing called the TikTokification of the internet, which is our attention span is constantly getting shorter. We want instant gratification. We scroll all these short form videos and we are addicted to that dopamine rush of new information or entertainment. That is the nature of our society. It's also the nature of our human biology that we haven't changed much in the last few thousand years, whilst our society has evolved. Keep that in mind. You're not going to change biology and you're not going to change the culture of society with a blog. You need to appeal to it. So how do you do that?
I love that. I'm sorry. I just love what you said. We're not going to change the nature or the culture of society with a blog. That is such a quotable quote.
There we go. Snip that into one of your TikTok posts.
And I call it the ADD of the internet.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So,
If I can just quickly interject on that one, it's actually something that I learned when I was a trainer, and learned about training people. Adults have an attention span of 10 to 12 minutes. You've got to keep your content down to 10 to 12 minutes, and then you've got to give them a break to let the brain refresh, let the brain take in what you've told them, and then you can hit them again. That is one reason why a number of years ago, commercial breaks were every 10 to 12 minutes. It's so that you could get that break in and you could keep your audience hooked onto whatever it was you were showing them. That's not why they do it now, because they just want the money. But that 10 to 12 minutes, and just think about that. If you're going to get someone to read, you've probably got a maximum of 10 minutes read time before they're gone, before you've lost them.
and that's if you hook them. Remember, you got to hook them in the intro. You've got to hook them in the title. So if you think about someone searching for your search results on Google, to take it back a step, they search for this keyword. They're going to see the title of your blog. They're going to see that's the meta title, and they're going to see that short snippet, the meta description. So first things first, the most people out of anything they see as your content is that meta title and description. So first thing is, are you putting the keyword in there? Is the title compelling? For example, the ultimate guide to optimizing your WordPress blog for SEO, plus free template, plus 5 tips, 2024 edition. Quite often when we write a blog for clients, we put out 5 different versions of the title and revise them. Sometimes I've been known to put 20 different titles out before I choose one, because it's so important. Same with the meta description. Make it hook people. Once they land, make sure your introduction hooks them. If it's a longer blog, make sure that you've got your table of contents so they know what to expect. But then further on, yes, the information needs to be good, but if you've done your skeleton right, this next step's a lot easier. Make sure that the subtitles are engaging, that they hook people, that they are indicative of what's in that actual section. Make sure that you have all different forms of media, quotes, bullet points, bold, italics, links out, videos linked in, images, infographics. You don't have to have all of that in one blog. It's a toolkit. You pull out what you need. But people are going to skim it. If someone reads your blog word for word, then you've done something right, or they're out of the ordinary. Most people skim read until they find what they need. They read a little snippet and then they move on. So appeal to that. So you
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
your introduction, you have your titles, you have it skim readable, skim stuff as it's been called by Linko, Brian Dean, who's a really big educator in this space. And then by the time they get to the bottom, you're going to have a call to action. So this is where you can offer your product, your service, your lead magnet or download if you want them on your email address. Make sure your call to action is relevant to the blog. If you're writing a blog on the best WordPress shopping carts, don't say at the end, do you want to buy our Shopify services? That's not why they're there. Right, so make sure that the call to action is relevant to the point where, okay, if you're offering something that service that's relevant, tie it back to the reason why they're on that blog in the first place. Summarize what they've got and present your offering as the solution to the problem that they came to the blogger. That's going to make them more likely to buy. And then, yeah, throughout the blog, if you have a way to get them onto your email list, like a lead magnet, a download, a checklist, an ebook, something like that, weave those into the blog. Remember, people will leave. If you can capture some of them on your mailing list and they're the relevant people, then you're doing well. But that's, I guess, an anatomy of the content. So you've got your skeleton, but your blog in itself is going from the title to hooking them in the intro to giving them skim readable content that gives them the bites and nuggets to keep them going. Give them opportunities and invites to join your mailing list or to buy your product or service or inquire, depending on what you're offering. Link it through to your other content. And that's the contents part of SEO, I guess, in a nutshell. Obviously, you want to edit it, you want to proof it, you want to publish it, you want to check that it's done right when you publish it, so that whoever published it didn't make mistakes, etc. But that's the production line. If you're doing that right, you've got 80% of SEO in place. There's a lot of other stuff we could talk about. There's hundreds of factors that influence it, but that's the biggest thing.
I think that they're the biggest things, and you're entirely correct. And there's a couple of things that I did want to just highlight there. You mentioned using italics and bold and, highlighting words. You've got to use that to hook your clients in or hook your readers in so that they keep reading through and they pick it up when they skim read. You've also got to use that so that the search engines know what what parts of your text is important as well. So it's a real balancing act between, well, yeah, we would normally highlight this and over here. Don't highlight an and. It's not going to work. It's going to ruin everything. Work out which part of that phrase really needs the bolding and make sure that's got the bold, because that's going to draw your reader's attention. It's going to also draw the search engine's attention, or what we call spiders, when they go and read the text electronically. They're going to go, oh, this is bold, so this is obviously important, and they'll pull that out and say, right, this site is looking to rank for this, or this site is about this thing. In terms of your mechanics at this point, this is where your mechanics come in, and you need to make sure your site is set up appropriately. There are plugins that you can put on, and those plugins will let you set the meta title and the meta description. When you write your blog and you've got it all written and you've agreed with that's what you're going to go to publish, you then need to take that out and paste it into the box on your website that says this is our title, and make sure your keyword is in there. Make sure that your meta description has got the keyword, and it's got I always like to write my meta descriptions in that respect with a bit of a call to action, something like Callum and Charly are going to talk about the top 10 ways to write content for SEO. I don't know if that's going to work, but there you go. Find out what they have to say today. This is a great conversation. Why don't come along and join the conversation with them? It's a bit of a hook. I also really love the idea of putting like a date on it, like 2024, top 10 tips for 2024.
Just make sure you update it next year.
Yeah, make sure we'll write a new one for next year so that they can go back through and see that there are different ones. I never thought they were any use until here I am 12 years down the track, and I'm going back through, and some of those old posts are still ranking, like, the top 10 tips for 2015, or the top 10 plugins you would use for this in 2015. Well, those plugins probably are no longer valid. I'm going to go and look for something that's 2024 or 2023 and make sure that I'm getting the stuff that's most recent. So it's really important to me that when I look at things, I can tell when it was published, when it was updated, and what it was targeting, what year or what era it was targeting. Just some mechanical things to think about.
Yeah, I think also it's important to note that we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg here. These are good basics. If you're going to do it yourself, get this started, try these basics. If you've got challenges, ask ChatGPT. It'll give you answers if you ask it relevant questions. But this isn't the whole picture of SEO. We could talk for 5 hours and we wouldn't still be doing everything. So
correct.
Yeah, I mean, put your best foot forward. If it's an investment you want to make, you either need to upskill yourself or you need to hire someone that knows what they're doing. And in many ways, SEO is more complex than a lot of the other marketing spaces. If you're on social media, yes, there are details and complexities you need to get right, but it's a lot simpler. Same with advertising. If you have a good offer and you've got a good ads and you test and you have all your systems in place, great. SEO, there's, I think the last time I checked, there were over 200 ranking factors that Google uses, which aren't public. And it's updated about 3,500 times a year. So about 10 times a day, mostly really minor updates, but there are all these updates. And there are a lot of other pillars. For example, we've talked about content. Then there's updating content. There is on-page SEO, so optimizing your pages. There are technical SEO, so your site speed, how fast it loads, your backlinks, who's linking to you, adding good links, deleting bad links, and then tying that all into the processes of how you run your business. So if you want to do it right, invest in building your skills. If this sounds like a hassle, outsource it. That's my best recommendation here.
Yeah, and look, it can end up being free marketing for you if you set it up right at the beginning and you put the effort in at the beginning. I know I've done an inspiration about this that's going to go up in the next couple of days, and I know I do it regularly in my blogging. Free isn't always free. In fact, it rarely is. There's always a cost to doing things, and there's always a cost to doing them properly. But once you've got it done right, it's fantastic. And honestly, I think SEO is a great way of going to keep your own site running, get people to come back to your place, owning the race course, so to speak, to paraphrase someone else, so that you've got multiple avenues to access your target audience.
Yeah, and the benefit of doing it right is huge. If you set it up right at the start, you have the right processes in place, you have the right knowledge and skills, standards, checklists, SOPs, all this stuff, and you follow them, and you do that consistently over time, the potential's huge. We have one client, and we've only published 2 blogs per month for them for 3 years, and we've done other stuff, obviously. That sounds like a lot, but they've gone from 2,700 clicks a month to now they're at about 35,000. And now they get about 300,000 visitors a year just from blogging, and that brings in somewhere in the realm of, I think, 15 to 25 million impressions per year from publishing 2 blogs a month for 3 years.
Yep. And I'm just going to say that it's actually a self-fulfilling prophecy too, because the more clicks you start to get, the more people that start to visit your site through the search engine results, the more the search engines will actually start to prioritize your results as well, because clearly you've got something right that people want to know about it.
Yeah, definitely. So I think this is a good amount of information to take in for one podcast. If you want to talk about more in the future, happy to. But
I absolutely will, of course. I will always have you back on, Callum. You've been wonderful.
Cool. Yeah.
Now, if I can just remind people, I'm just pulling up my notes here. Come across and join my locals community, askcharlyleetham.locals.com. Being a business owner can be tough. It can be lonely if you're working remotely. It can also get frustrating. That's why I started my locals community. It's a community for business owners that could be a bit like the water cooler of old. I want you to treat that community as a place where you not only get to interact with me, but each other. You can provide inspiration. You can get inspiration. You can provide advice. You can ask questions. And it just becomes your community as much as it is mine. So askcharlyleetham.locals.com. I'd love to see you across there. Alrighty. So back to us. We covered a heap, and my eyes are bigger than my head, I think, at the moment as I'm thinking about all this. Is there one thing that you want people to take away from all of this?
One thing, one specific thing. Keep your customer in mind. Like, don't forget the customer. Just because there is a screen between you doesn't mean that they're not going through that journey from being unaware of their problems, fixing the solution, and getting the outcome. And that can be through you or someone else. And if you empathize with them, you understand their needs, you educate them, and you help them, you're much more likely to get that customer. But if you're just selling all the time, or your SEO is focused on what's the click, what's the metric, what's the dollar, all this stuff, you're going to miss out on that customer, and it's going to be your fault. So keep the customer in mind all the time.
I love that. It's going to miss out on the customer. It's going to be your fault. Another quotable
Honestly,
quote, Callum.
Yeah. But if you do need help with this kind of stuff and you want to set up the right foundations, we do have a coaching program, Evergreen Leads. Happy to chat about that. If you're interested, you can find it at our website. I'll provide you a link, or chatting on social media. I'll only take you if I feel like I can help you and if we're a good fit. And I'm always happy to provide guidance and help. So if you're just unsure and you're thinking coaching and done with you is what you need, feel free to reach out. Happy to have a chat, and only move forward if we're a good fit.
Fantastic. And look, I'm going to have Callum's contact details in the show notes below. Go back and view his other podcasts we've done together. They're really, really good, and I've got information in there as well. Please remember to, let me see if I get this one right today, like this video, subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell so that you find out when I drop more content. If you can leave us a review, that would be fantastic. That helps. And maybe share this content with someone who you think might benefit from it as well. Apart from that, Callum, you have been fantastic as usual. We really mustn't spend an hour. No, we must. I mean, I love it. I just think it's wonderful, and I really appreciate that you did that today. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. And if there is nothing more you wanted to add, I will bid everyone a happy happy Thursday for us today, and we will see you all next week.
Yeah, thank you, and bon voyage.
Bye, guys.